Hey everybody, what's happening? You know, the 1970s were a wonderful time filled with bell-bottoms, disco, and corrupt politicians. Filmmakers like Coppola, Scorsese, and Spielberg changed the way movies were made, while audiences tuned in weekly to laugh at the antics of Hawkeye, Fonzie, and Mork. All of those things have either remained with us, made a comeback, or are now viewed with a gauzy sense of nostalgia. One thing that hit its stride in the 1970s, lived through the 1980s, and met its rightful demise in the 1990s is the made-for-TV movie. Sure, cable stations like HBO and Showtime have glossy, high-quality movies, but I'm talking about the movies that aired every week on regular TV stations. Most of the made-for-TV movies like Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway, Summer of My German Soldier, and Go Ask Alice were melodramatic cheese fests that put food on the table for the likes of 70s icons such as Eve Plumb, Christy McNichol, and William Shatner. Others, like Brian's Song, Duel, and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, are considered the high benchmarks of the form. Tonight on Public Domain Theater, we present you with the film that falls smack dab into the former category. But for its own safety, it has been hermetically sealed. 1976's The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. John Travolta stars as Todd Lubitsch, a teenager who was born without an immune system, so he must live his entire life in a completely sterile environment, whether it be his room, a glass incubator, or a hazmat suit. He occasionally complains to his doctor, played by veteran character actor Ralph Bellamy, and his parents, Diana Hyland, and the Brady Bunch's Robert Reed. But for the most part, he just enjoys wearing his short shorts, going all rear window on his next-door neighbor Gina, played by Linda Blair lookalike Glynis O'Connor. The film was a ratings success when it aired on November 12, 1976, thanks to Travolta's breakout role as Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. And his icon status would be cemented almost exactly 1 year later in the film Saturday Night Fever. You know, I remember when this film aired. I was 8 years old and was such a huge fan of Welcome Back, Kotter and Vinnie Barbarino that my parents told me I could stay up and watch The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. This photo serves as proof, not only of my lifelong tremendous sense of fashion and sanitary handling of meat, but also my aforementioned love of Welcome Back, Kotter. Note the t-shirt with Travolta's character on it and his catchphrase, "Up your nose with a rubber hose." I did love that show, and I really wanted to see this movie. But the television gods had other plans, and sometime before it started, I nodded off. When I finally woke up, it was all over. I had missed it, and I was shattered. In fact, I never saw the film until March 12th, 2014, in preparation for this show. Was it worth it? You tell me. There are two people in small roles that you sharp-eyed movie savants may recognize. I'll give you a hint. They both play high school students. See if you can figure out who they are, and I'll tell you at the end of the film. Get your popcorn and your soda, make note of the nearest emergency exit, and switch off your cell phone or pager. Public Domain Theater is proud to present John Travolta, Glynis O'Connor, Diana Hyland, and Robert Reed, starring in The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. So, were you able to pick out the two high school kids that some film buffs may recognize? See the kid eating the apple? That's John Megna, who played Dill in To Kill a Mockingbird. And the girl next to him is PJ Soles, who went on to have roles in Halloween, Stripes, and Carrie, also starring John Travolta. Then she got the lead in Roger Corman's classic, Rock and Roll High School. I absolutely love all of those movies, but I have to talk about the one we just watched, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, in case you've already forgotten. Every movie ever made has goofs. They usually happen when someone forgets to adjust a prop between shots or refill a glass in a restaurant scene so that the audience believes that something was shot in real time and not over the course of a day. But The Boy in the Plastic Bubble might just be the first film where if anybody pointed out the goofs, it would have made everybody involved with the film go, yep, that could have killed him. Let's start with the scene early on in the film. Just wheeling a child in a sterile chamber through a hospital, nothing dangerous about that. Whoops! Lifted up the corner, germ-laden air gets in, kid could die. A little later on in the film, we see our hero Todd, who somehow survived that incident in the hospital, where he meets a teen who's been in a sterile environment for months due to chemotherapy. Kid hasn't been outside for months. Oh my God, he's lying! He's been frolicking in the garden. His feet are filthy and germ-ridden. The kid and Travolta could both die. Or, my favorite scene, and the more jaw-droppingly stupid goof. Hey, I did more push-ups than you. You owe me $10. Wait, I mean to say, where's my totally sterile, non-toxic $10? Dead. It would seem that Todd cheated death throughout his entire life, even at the very end of the movie when he walks out of his house and rides off with Gina. Or did he? I thought I noticed something over Travolta's shoulder near the end. Let's watch that again.
I am the angel of death. The day of reckoning is upon you.
I guess that death wins in the end. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for films, you can contact me through Facebook, Public Domain Theater, Twitter @Cherokee_Jack, or YouTube, Paul Fish. Until next week, remember that if Hollywood didn't make bad films, many A-list actors would be unemployed. Good night. No, that would just be awful. I'd be like, yo, were you able to pick out the two high school kids that some film buffs may recognize? See the kid eating the apple? No. If I could have had just like a whole Vinnie Barbarino like outfit with the hair and the what? Why? Where? Who? Like, I loved that show. Maybe I could just say that this is actually one of Epstein's notes. This is one of Epstein's notes on my shirt, and it actually says, "Good morning, sunshine," signed Epstein's mom.
Where? Monkey toes.